The biggest stock markets in the world have been actively preparing for crypto ETF products behind the scenes, filing certain documentation with the SEC to prepare for trillions to flow into the crypto market. I've uncovered the entire plan. You're not going to believe it. Let's go through this research and I will blow your mind. You give me 10 minutes and I will give you everything that you need to know. Let's go.
Speaking of crypto, Nate, similar to the push to market we're seeing in IPOs, you're seeing a lot of what you call a boatload of crypto ETF filings. What does that mean and how does that differ from what we've seen in the past?
Well, it's interesting because the three major stock exchanges, so NYSE, NASDAQ, and CBOE, they have all filed with the SEC for generic listing standards for crypto ETFs, which basically means that the exchanges wouldn't need to seek specific approval for each spot crypto ETF as long as it meets certain criteria. So this would streamline the approval process. And that's important because right now there are filings out there from multiple issuers for XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs, Cardano, HBAR. We could go on down the list, but there are a boatload of filings out there. And the expectation is that this standardized crypto framework will be implemented, say, in the next 2 months or so. And so if and when that happens, I think you're going to see the floodgates open. We're going to see a wave of approvals, and you're going to see, again, a boatload of new crypto ETFs coming to market.
A boatload. The floodgates will open. This is the terminology that they are using on CNBC. Let me go ahead and show you how much money we're talking about. So he brought up something interesting. He said the NYSE, the NASDAQ, and the CBOE, right? And so what they filed here was a generic listing standards for crypto ETFs. Recently, the NYSE, NASDAQ, and CBOE have each filed proposals with the SEC for generic listing standards covering commodity ETPs, which include crypto-based exchange-traded products like Bitcoin, Ethereum ETFs. These filings aim to update exchange rules so that any crypto asset ETF meeting these standards could be listed without a separate individual request, a 19B-4 form for each product, which was slow and complex, and which has caused, issues. So remember, all of these different institutions have to file these forms with the SEC and they have to wait for the approval. These stock exchanges are going around everything, right? They are preparing to do this instantaneously, to already have the approval if these products meet the certain standard. So how much money are we talking about here, Sensei? Let me show you some crazy information here. So I wanted to better understand how much money is in these three stock markets and how much could go into these spot crypto assets. Remember, you have some of these new financial advisors telling people if you're, young enough, you can put up to 20% in the crypto market, and for every other investor up to 10%. So we're talking to 10 to 20% of all of these, institutional investors investing in the stock market now moving some of that money into crypto. So what is that? Let me show you. The New York Stock Exchange has 31.7 trillion. NASDAQ has 29 trillion and CBOE has 25.2 billion. All right. And so when we're looking at 10%, we're looking at 6.1 trillion. If we're looking at 20% of these values, it's $12.3 trillion. Going down a step further, we understand that XRP right now represents about 5% of the crypto market, but we understand that demand for a spot XRP ETF product in the United States will probably be a large share of the new money coming in. So maybe even 10%. So I wanted to look at the numbers, 5 to 10%. If 5 to 10% of this 6 trillion or 12 trillion went into spot XRP products, what would we be talking about? And here is those numbers. 5% of 6 trillion would be 308 billion and 10% of 12 trillion would be 1.2 trillion. But remember, these are brand new inflows coming into XRP, right? They have to fund these ETF products with actual XRP. So that is going to have a multiplier effect on that value in the short term. Now, I wanted to look at this data an even step further. Here is 5 or 10% of, these different, just to give you some more information, but here is the market cap multipliers. So I wanted to look at a 1x, just a no multiplier, a 100x multiplier, and a 250x multiplier. We know that inflows can be anywhere from 100 to 600x, but I wanted to keep it somewhat reasonable here. So just looking at 308 billion, you could be looking at a $300 XRP or a XRP. If we got 616 billion into ETFs, with no multiplier, you're looking at $10, but with some serious multipliers, we could be looking at even higher prices. Coming down a step further here is multiplier versus current market cap. And we are talking anywhere from $300 to $700 for XRP. But wait, there is more. Remember this video I played for you just last week? Check this out.
Virtually every insurance company, brokerage firm, bank, hedge fund, pension fund, endowment fund, sovereign wealth fund, family office, they are all engaged in due diligence right now, studying the crypto question. Should they invest? If so, how and how much? And they're on a various part of their journey. Some of them have already reached the conclusion and they are already investing. Others are engaged in the due diligence process. And it is a process. These institutions don't move quickly. These teams, for example, investment committees, they typically only meet 4 times a year.
All right,
Board of directors, we don't
need to get into all of this, but additionally, besides the stock market, insurance companies here in the United States, 9 trillion, hedge funds, 4.7 trillion, pension funds, 43.4 trillion. Remember, Trump just signed an executive order allowing people to invest IRAs and 401ks into the crypto market. Brokerage firms, we're talking about 35 trillion, endowment funds, 400 billion, banks, 27 trillion, family offices, $1.8 trillion. Looking at this information globally, insurance companies, 40 trillion, hedge funds, 4.7, retirement funds, over $50 trillion, brokerage firms, $145 trillion, endowment funds is still 400 billion, banks, 400 trillion, family offices, 4.67 trillion, sovereign wealth funds, 13.9 trillion. Do you not understand the stock markets? All of these just enormous companies and institutions are all preparing for the exact same eventuality, entering the crypto space and getting as much as they can, as quickly as they can. Sure, some of these companies, institutions, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, they have already been looking, maybe not pension funds, but they have already been looking at ways to get into the crypto market. Some have obviously made those adjustments in the background. You probably don't hear a lot about this because, hey, they probably don't want to tell everybody that they're getting into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, but they are. Now you mix with regulation and everything is now legal. You are talking about I can't even comprehend how much money is about to enter the crypto space over the next few years. I just want to tell you, we have been right the entire time and we are in the right place at the right time to take full advantage of this. Remember, we have been here before institutions got here. We are going to be owning a piece of the next financial system. This is generational. All right. Now looking at some other information that is also going to supercharge all this stuff. Lowering rates, right? The XRP spot ETF approvals and the Clarity Act. Now, just looking at some of this stuff here, lowering interest rate means cheaper money, swelling liquidity across markets, and pushing investors towards higher risks like crypto. Cryptocurrencies, especially large cap coins like XRP, historically rally on dovish Fed moves as risk appetite returns for new capital market floods. Bitcoin has previously seen major price increases in similar environments. XRP and other altcoins tend to follow that lead when macro liquidity expands. So listen, the Fed is looking at some jobs numbers and realizing, hey, they're not as good as they thought they were. They were revised down. So the Fed is looking to lower rates over the next few months. Trump wants them to lower it all the way down to like 1%. This is going to allow a lot of new money to come back into the space because when people can borrow at lower rates, they usually take that. They borrow money at 1% or 2% and they go look for things that they might be able to get 5 or 10% return on, and they just cycle that cash all the way through. Now, this could lead to higher rates down the line and things like that, obviously. But in the meantime, in the short term, you mix crypto regulation in the United States with all of this other stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we are game on. Okay. Now, I wanted to look at some information about when XRP topped out in the last markets. It's really hard to look at this data because you had the lawsuit that really kind of succumbed XRP to the last cycle. And so looking back here in 2017 to 2018, the top month was January 2018, where XRP reached 330 to 350 in early January. In the 2020 to 2021 cycle, the top month for XRP was April 2021. We had to deal with the lawsuit, and that was unfortunate. And of course, we don't know what we are looking at this cycle, but maybe January or early next year. In October, we're supposed to get updates on which spot ETFs products for XRP will be approved. And that is going to be just truly, truly incredible, guys. Like, it's all coming together the right time. Now you have the information. What are you going to do with the information, right? Go talk to that financial advisor. Go talk to whoever you need to, but prepare now, because things are going to get hectic. And I can't wait to be on this journey with you. Thank you for supporting me over the last few years. It has been a hell of a ride, and we're almost to the top, ladies and gentlemen. Fireflight, big step forward for XRP holders through Crypto.com's platform. Shareholders will benefit from access upcoming XRP restaking via Flare networks, which Viva Power has already partnered with. So a lot of really cool information there. And of course, Riz XRP posted this upcoming XRP restaking via Flare. Shareholders will also benefit from superior liquidity for XRP and other digital assets, as well as access to upcoming XRP restaking via Flare. And of course, we know that banks are sitting on the sidelines ready to come in with the technology. This is a clip from, maybe 23 or 24. This was reposted just recently, but this is talking about Bank of America is preparing. Now, Link2 has had some problems, and I don't really want to get into all of that, but I did want to play this for maybe the people that haven't seen this. I also made a really cool video about Lord Belgrave and his insider knowledge. This guy was a former City London banker. This video and that video will be coming out tomorrow on Wednesday. Prepare yourselves. Both are going to be fire. I have just built a course for beginners, intermediaries, and experts of XRP to better understand the XRP ledger and Ripple, the company. If you're interested in getting that course absolutely free, there's a link down in the description. Please let me know what you think after you've taken the course. Aloha. But here's this clip to end us here for today.
You would expect large institutions, financial institutions, certainly like Bank of America, to transact. I think it was actually quite timely and maybe fully intended that Ripple created and introduced this liquidity hub product. Because what I'd be doing if I were in Ripple's shoes today is I'd be integrating liquidity into the RippleNet product. So every user of RippleNet, like Bank of America, would simply port into a liquidity hub as the means of obtaining and managing that XRP position that they need to work through ODL. Right? Liquidity hub is just a massive, smart router engine. It has feeds to accounts that Ripple has opened across all the liquidity venues around the world. Basically, virtually every exchange where there is depth of liquidity, it has accounts at. So if I'm Bank of America, I become a liquidity hub customer, and on any given moment, or where I need, pick a number, $1 billion worth of XRP to transact, I plug that into Liquidity Hub, and Liquidity Hub will break that $1 billion up into fractions and route them for execution and closing across all the exchanges to get the optimal average acquisition price for XRP. And then when I'm done using the XRP for ODL, I turn around and I go the opposite direction, and I have that same smart engine route my sell order and go back to cash. And that's what I want to do. Sell the XRP across all the venues to get the optimal price for Bank of America, right? And at no time do I ever have to be in a position where I'm actually taking XRP from Ripple itself. I'm doing it through all of these exchanges. And what Ripple will do in that instance is it'll be on an ongoing basis looking at the XRP available across all those exchanges worldwide and just distributing XRP through those exchanges. It will sell XRP into those exchanges to create supply.
There has never been a better time to be bullish on XRP, guys. I'm going to always bring you the latest news, the latest information, the latest research in the crypto space around Ripple and XRP. Make sure that you're following the channel, that you're subscribed, you hit the bell notification on. Have a fantastic week ahead. I hope this video fired you up for what's to come. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. Let's go get it. Peace.